Alright folks, it's the night before I'm away to film this video. This is Friday night and you're obviously seeing this on Sunday, but it actually gets filmed on a Saturday. Obviously, another episode of I or No, and Jenny's away to pick my 10 numbers. Go for it, dear.
4, 8, 11, 19, 23, 31, 39, 42, 47 and 54.
Let's see if I've got some decent or not so decent players to talk about today, and if I'm aye or no on them. Hello lads, as you can see, change the top because, as I said, filming this on all different sort of days. I filmed the wee intro bit last night because Jenny is now working today. I'm filming this on Saturday morning so I can have it pre-filmed to go up tomorrow on Sunday as you're watching this. So there is a wee bit of preparation that goes into these videos. I'm busy on different days, so it means I need to pre-film videos. I don't really have to mention this stuff at the end of the day. You're getting a video nonetheless, but I felt it was relevant. But let's get on to the video. So first up in today's episode is Declan Gallagher. Now, I think this is pretty obvious because he has been one of the standout players within the Scottish Premiership in the past season and in the last 2 seasons actually. When he was at Livingston, he was part of that 3-man defence that was so lucrative for Livingston as a partnership at the back with Alan Lithgow, Craig Halkett and Declan Gallagher, of course. And 2 of those players went on to make moves. Craig Halkett to Hearts, which has obviously not exactly worked out the best for him, but he did make that move to a bigger club obviously. And Declan Gallagher moving on to Motherwell, who has had a fantastic season, as I've said, and has now just been made the captain of Motherwell after the departures of players like Richard Tate, etc. So it's pretty obvious that Declan Gallagher is held in high regard now. He's starting to get recognition on an international level as well, with a few Scotland caps under his belt, and I imagine Steve Clarke will continue to pick him because we are quite light in quality centre-backs on a Scotland basis. So I would think Declan Gallagher is going to be up there for a regular pick every single time that the national team needs a squad chosen now. So yes, it is indeed an aye for Declan Gallagher. I am not going to beat around the bush with that one. The guy is a quality player and deserves to get an aye and only an aye from my good self. Now next up is a player on the completely different side of the spectrum. It is Ryan Blair. Used to play for us, used to play for the mighty Dunfermline Athletic for, I think, a season. I am wrong. He was brought in the January of 2018-19 by Stevie Crawford, and he looked a decent acquisition at the time, and he scored 1 goal for us. He eventually really tailed off, especially in a game against 1, Falkirk, and 2, Coon of the South. Those were the 2 games where we really did not see a great side to Ryan Blair at all, and I know my dad will be watching this and he absolutely can't stand Ryan Blair, and I think I do massively agree with that. The guy just doesn't really do it for me. He's a Falkirk boy as well, which doesn't help, and he now plays for Stenhousemuir down in League 2. Maybe he's found his level now. It's a no for Ryan Blair. Plain, simple, no. And of course we're going to get a Dundee United player in there. Get in there. There is always Dundee United players included in this because there is so many requested, and yet another one has been randomly picked out by Jenny within my list here, and this time it's Louie Perry. Is it Louie Perry or Louie Perry? Someone tell me in the comments please. He's been a decent player for Dundee United, obviously come through the youth ranks. He's a Fife boy, and I believe he's one that slipped through the Fife elite ranks and has now ended up at Dundee United. Obviously a team like Dunfermline could have actually had Louie Perry's services if we'd snatched up upon that when he was in the Fife elite setup, which he must have been a part of at some point, but he's obviously moved on to Dundee United and has had a good stint of first team experience in the past season and has really shown the quality that he can have and the potential that he obviously has. He's scored a few goals and has been an integral part of the squad that Dundee United have had in order to get themselves promoted. He scored goals against Hibs and Dundee, to name a few. Obviously I was at those games specifically, so he's scored in the big games. He's certainly not fearful of the big occasion, and I spoke about him in my video where I was going over my best goals that I've seen at neutral games, and I was just so surprised when I saw him that it was just a player, a young player with such confidence and composure on the ball, and being able to finish a chance like he did in the Dundee derby, which was an under pressure one right in the 6-yard box basically, and the Hibs one where he came in for the left hand side and just curled it in the bottom corner with aplomb. Those type of finishes from any football player are fantastic, but for a youngster, top class. So Louie Perry gets an eye from me. Next up is Joe Lewis. Now, we've spoken about a lot of Scottish Premiership goalkeepers on this series so far. I think we've had Fraser Forster, I think we've had Alan McGregor as well. So the top guys within the Scottish Premiership, Vaclav Hladky before he left the SPFL, of course, his St Mirren contract ended. And I do believe that Joe Lewis is up there with those players as well. Obviously, playing for Aberdeen, you're going to have a good sort of record because you're destined to have better defenders in front of you, but Joe Lewis is undoubtedly a quality goalkeeper. I think he's Aberdeen's captain now, and that goes to show his leadership qualities as well. And I just think that Joe Lewis has to be up there and gets an eye for me because of the fact that, well, he simply is one of the best goalkeepers within the SPFL. Next up is yet another Motherwell player. So there's been more Motherwell players than there has Dundee United players in this video. I wonder if that'll make me a Motherwell fan, eh? Hey, Tony Watt is the player that I'm about to talk about, and obviously the guy's well known for his magnificent moment against Barcelona when he was just a young guy. I think that must have been about 8 or 9 years ago now, and that is the moment that he's always been remembered for and will probably take him to the grave, let's be honest. He's probably going to be telling the grandkids that in about 30 or 40 years time. But he has sort of built himself back up in the last few seasons at Motherwell, etc, etc. The other teams he's been at, he went on a wee foreign kind of trip before as well and played for a team. But I'm yet to be really sold on Tony Watt. The fact that he's like 26 years old or whatever age he is and buying Logan Paul merch, it just doesn't really scream competent adult. So I'm going to have to say no for Tony Watt at this point, and he may go to prove me wrong next season or whatever because he has signed a contract extension with Motherwell, so he's got a chance. Now, I was asked to include some managers in my list, and this is the first manager that I'm going to talk about in not only this episode, but in this series as a whole. And it's going to be Steven Gerrard, the Rangers manager. Now, he's not exactly an unknown figure within the football world. Of course, Steven Gerrard, you could talk about him as a player still. He could probably still lace the boots of many players and do it with ease. However, we're doing this as a manager, of course, because he no longer plays the game. So, as a manager, Steven Gerrard obviously not actually won a trophy yet at Rangers, but there is just something there that I feel like he is the right man for Rangers. He just needs to get everything right and put in place, he needs to get the recruitment right, and to be honest, I would find it very hard to see anyone overtaking Celtic and beating them to titles, etc. I just think Celtic have got everything that they need to keep winning titles. They've got the squad that's been there and done that, and they've just got immense quality throughout their squad, their bench, etc, etc. And they've got a manager, Neil Lennon, who has also done it before on a playing basis and manager as well. So Steven Gerrard does have a really hard job to do at Rangers. It's not as easy as saying, go on, just win the league and beat Celtic to it, because I really don't think that it's fair to say that for any manager, because Celtic have just built up such a dynasty within what they've built in the last 8 or 9 years. So I'm going to say aye for Steven Gerrard as my manager now. He's obviously got time to prove people that he can go on and win a trophy. In my opinion, he probably does need to win a trophy this season, whether that's any of the cups or the league. Falkirk goalie Robbie Much is up next, and I'm going to say a quick no for this one because I simply haven't seen enough of him play. I'm just going to base it off the fact of he can't be that great. He doesn't really get much high praise from many people within the game. It's certainly not that I've heard, and I don't know enough about him. He's a Falkirk boy, so I'm going to say no. It's a bit of a biased opinion from me, but until I see him play, I can't have a different opinion. And the second manager I'm going to bring up is John Robertson, Inverness Caledonian Thistle manager. He's going to get an eye from me because he's simply a top guy, and he's done good things with Inverness Caledonian Thistle to hopefully guide them to the Premiership eventually. That was obviously his aim last season until it was curtailed. I would say he's got a good chance, so for that reason, and that reason alone, I'm going to say an aye for John Robertson, but he is indeed a top class guy, and just is a manager that I think you'd be easily able to fall in love with. Second last on today's list is Graham Dorrans. I'm going to say an aye for Graham Dorrans. I rate the guy. I think he was Dundee's best player overall this season, up there with the likes of your Paul McGowans, etc. And I just think Graham Dorrans is a good addition to any championship team because he's probably got that added quality that teams in the second tier need. And last, and in my opinion maybe least, is Declan Gallagher. Maybe a player that you've not entirely heard of, but he's played for Stirling Albion when he's been in the SPFL and had a wee stint back in France for a bit. And he's a player that I would usually take to because he's that player that's come from foreign land, etc., and come over and done a decent enough job for a team. I like those kind of exotic type players that are a bit mysterious and you don't really know what they're going to get, like BAEKJI, etc. But Declan Gallagher, for me, I don't think he's that great. I don't think he really is that great of a player for me to be raving about him, so I'm going to say a no for Declan Gallagher. If you're still an Albion fan watching this, let me know what Declan Gallagher's really like, and I may end up having to change my opinion on that one, but I just don't really see the same hype that I would have about a BAEKJI. But that's it for this video, guys. Cheers for watching. If you did enjoy it, please give it a like, comment down below, aye or no for the players that I've mentioned, and subscribe for more of this type of content. And until the next video, I'll see you then. Cheers, guys.